I barely recognize this podcast anymore. The government's got us seeing communists and harmless phosphorescence. Hello, everyone. This is your host, Thoreau Smiley. For an old man, I ain't bad in a podcast. Who's joining me this week?
Hello, I am Josh Cece, master of selective magnetism.
I'm Brian Lesh, and we seem to have reached the age where life keeps giving us Indiana Jones movies.
And in the space between spaces, there is Alaric Weber.
And this is...
That's deep.
It is. It's true, though. He's just kind of slides in there.
You're scanning a room, then on the second scan, you see him.
He slides into the space between spaces like sliding into DMs. This is Harmless Phosphorescence. It's the podcast where we watch every theatrically released full-length live-action superhero movie ever made and Indiana Jones movies. I've got to come up with a new intro.
He's a superhero. He fits. It works. The power to survive a nuclear explosion.
You could add popular franchises.
Yeah. I'll make it new, new and fresh for next time.
Hey, Poochie.
With 7% new footage.
Rostified
Yeah.
by 20%.
This is Harmless Phosphorescence. We're watching Indiana Jones, all of them. All of them.
And it's been wonderful so far.
Up until a certain point, it's been great. This show is brought to you by our patrons like executive producers Michael Beckwith and Atticus Burkett. You can be a patron too. Go to patreon.com/harmless entertainment. We got a lot of bonus content there. We got Star Wars shows and we've got monthly movies. We just did Encino Man last month, Split Second, starring Rutger Hauer, and Kim Cattrall's boobs will be coming soon. But yeah, $1 a week, that's all you need. Patreon.com/harmless entertainment. This week on Harmless Phosphorescence, though, we are watching Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Legend says that a crystal skull was stolen from a mythical lost city in the Amazon, supposedly built out of solid gold, guarded by the living dead. Whoever returns the skull to the city temple will be given control over its power.
You will help us find it. A simple yes will do. So, we will do this old-fashioned way.
Put your hands down, will you? You're embarrassing us. Don't touch anything. Come on, genius. Master! Come back!
What's he gonna do now?
I don't think he plans that far ahead.
I'd cover my ears if I were you.
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Whenever anybody uses the expression the old-fashioned way, I picture them shoving someone into a horse and buggy.
Kidnapping them the old-fashioned way?
Well, because it's usually a villain or a bad guy. Like, we're going to have to do this. Yeah. Just like oil
Get
lamps.
the rope and tie
whale
the
blubber
railroad
lamps.
tracks.
Yeah, exactly.
From that trailer, this movie does not look like any other Indiana Jones movie.
No.
It looks like a prequel movie.
Yeah.
It's Revenge of the Sith, Indiana Jones version.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah, I feel like it told me nothing. God damn.
I loved how after the first two words, Legend says he sighs
Yeah.
in the trailer.
uh
Heavy sigh.
yeah, just
Anyway.
that was Harrison Ford though. That wasn't even acting. It was just like Legend says, oh boy. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was released May 22nd, 2008 at a running time of 122 minutes, cost $185 million, and it made $790 million.
You could buy a crystal skull with that kind of bread.
Yeah, you could. It's as a what is it? As a not a percentage, but a multiplier of how much its budget costs. It's not the most successful Indiana Jones movie, but it by just a solid number it is. 700.
Mhm.
But not
How many years elapsed between Last Crusade and this movie?
19.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
too many years, man.
It is.
And
It's
simultaneously too many and too few.
yeah, yeah. Well, and Harrison Ford was a little more spry than I thought I remembered him being.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
just wait till next week.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. But it was
You just have to swing over this pit. No, this is how I die. Sitting here.
well, and apparently like they did the they did the Irishman on him for a good chunk of it, where he was just acting, and then they put a young face on him, but like old men still move like old men. Like
Yeah.
current
There's
Ford,
no de-aging knees.
like current Ford can't move like Harrison did in Raiders. So yeah, just like Robert De Niro in The Irishman, where he's like an old man, like trying to kick people on the ground.
I know, and and I know he looks so weird. And every time Joe Pesci refers to him as kid or the kid, it's just like,
No, it's like that Always Sunny thing where he's just wearing a Beatles wig.
yes, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I know we've talked about Robert De Niro and his like T-Rex hands when he like kicks people before.
Yes.
I realize it's the same
Yeah,
thing.
it is.
It's the same thing that Palpatine does when he's shooting lightning.
I know you think of him in Mean Streets just kicking the shit out of people on top of a pool table.
Yeah.
And then
The little T-Rex hands.
like a guy you got in an argument with in a CVS parking lot. He's like-
So all right. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull made a lot of money. Let's play the box office top 10 game. This
Yeah.
Do it.
is the game where I will describe the top 10 movies of the week of May 22nd, 2008. And all these guys here are going to try to guess what movie that is. You ready to play?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Number 10 for the week. 2008, May 22nd. A college professor travels to New York City to attend a conference and finds a young couple living in his apartment. Looks like
Oh,
we got who is that? Is that William Hurt? I can't tell. Picture's too small. That's not William Hurt. From the director of The Station Agent and the producer of Sideways. That tells you nothing.
Thomas Hayden
House
Church is in it,
best.
I'm sure.
It's called The Visitor.
Just the visitor.
Yeah, no idea. At number 9 this week. After being mistaken for terrorists, 2 stoners escape and return to the U.S., where they proceed to flee across the country with federal agents in hot pursuit.
This is the Guantanamo
Yeah.
version, right? The second one?
Harold and Kumar escape from Guantanamo Bay. They made a weird number of those, considering like how good Cal Penn and to a lesser extent John Cho's careers have actually been.
Well, and it's May of 2008. Obama was just elected, right?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
He
no,
wouldn't be
that's
elected
right.
till November.
November is the election, but Cal Penn is currently writing speeches and working for his what's it called? His team.
His campaign. That's
His
right.
campaign.
Yeah.
And then
he was
briefly
he
served
wasn't
on the
advised.
administration too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Well, and then on another hand, it's like, let's make a movie that's just an absolute time capsule, like Guantanamo Bay. And,
Well, and
I
it's
don't know.
interesting having a comedian on your team. That's not, completely
Well, the
unusual, but
Obama-
having one who's making a movie about Guantanamo and smoking weed, that's pretty unusual.
That is unusual, yeah.
Yeah, it's like having
Sure.
Cheech or Chong,
Absolutely.
in your team.
But then the next president had Kim and Kanye as prison reform
Well,
advisors.
and I'm pretty sure Cal Penn has like a master's degree in like what's it, public service or whatever. Not public service. What do they call that? The one that
Yes.
political people get.
I don't know. It's like
Civics.
political
No, no.
science. I don't know.
No.
Yeah, political science.
But-
Yeah, no. Cal Penn is very qualified to write speeches.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude. I don't mean to
Yeah.
diminish his level of skill and qualification.
Hey, I don't think you should diminish the level of skill and qualification of Cheech or Chong.
That's true. Yeah.
They were,
Oh God.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
geniuses.
At
Not on a comedic level necessarily.
Yeah, Nixon
All right.
tried to get him, but just couldn't.
Oh yeah,
no,
Hoover.
Nixon had
Yeah.
Ben Stein. Yeah. All right. At number 8 this week, devastated Peter takes a Hawaiian vacation in order to deal with the recent breakup with his TV star girlfriend.
Oh, this is what's it called?
Saving Sarah Marshall.
Yeah.
Or forgetting.
Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah. At number 7.
I was gonna guess Spider-Man No Lay Home.
No lay.
This movie came out right after I got to Hawaii, so
Mm.
it was very much like, oh hey, I'm seeing all the places I've seen, so it's weird to watch it now.
At number 7 this week, a guy in love with an engaged woman tries to win her over after she asks him to be her maid of honor. I'm assuming she thinks he's gay.
Man of Honor?
Close.
Bros maids.
No, it's maid of honor. MADE. Maid of honor.
That's stupid.
Oh, he's maid of honor.
It's an unbridled comedy. At number 6 this week. Oh, this movie. A successful single businesswoman who dreams of having a baby discovers she's infertile and hires a working class woman to be her unlikely surrogate.
It's that Tina Fey joint, right?
Tina and
Baby
Amy.
Mama?
Yeah,
And
Baby
Amy.
Mama. Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like they didn't make enough movies together, Tina and Amy.
Yeah.
Sisters was decent. This one had moments.
Mm.
Sisters was funny, pretty much.
It's weird they could never quite get it to work in film form, the two of them, because there's
Yeah, maybe it was after the '80s, but like I don't think they've nailed the buddy movie formula in a long time.
yeah. There was a period of time when I really wanted to see a reboot of Stir Crazy with with Donald Glover and Chris Pratt
Oh man.
and the Gene Wilder, Richard Pryor roles. Yeah.
Wow.
But switched.
Yeah, but then, Chris Pratt stopped being funny, so.
Oh, but that character could be recast. I like the
Yeah.
Donald Glover though.
Yeah.
I could see that dynamic working really well, though.
Yeah.
And, yeah, all right, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Donald Glover and John Mulaney.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh.
Richard Pryor says that Gene, because it was filmed at Florence Prison and they were around actual inmates, and Richard would be like, Gene was literally Gene, like he would just run up, hey, so where are you from originally? And blah, blah, blah. And he'd be like, Gene, these are fucking murderers and rapists. Like, they'll kill you, motherfucker. Oh, they're nice guys.
Oh, Gene Wilder, man. At number 5 this week at the box office 5. Yeah, we're on 5. A young driver aspires to be champion of the racing world with the help of his family and a high-tech car.
Speed Racer.
Go, Speed Racer, go!
Yeah, we did that, right? We did
that one. That one we actually did, yes.
That one feels like a fever dream because the movie is a fever dream.
That movie
so
is
good.
Wow. It's something.
So cool.
Yeah.
But also weird and yeah. Wow, 2008.
Yeah. That's one of those movies that I will champion that people shit on. Like that one is goddamn good.
Well, and it's funny, 2008, like that movie is very impressive with its use of CGI compared to this movie we're going to talk about, which was incredibly cheap and lazy. So it's like I started to try to give it. I'm like, okay, well, 2008, but then yeah.
But I mean, like Jurassic Park was in '94, or whatever.
Right.
And then Speed Racer.
Comparing this to Speed Racer was creative and inventive in the way that it used CGI, and it looked fast.
Yeah.
This movie was not creative, and nothing looked fast.
This movie was the slowest shit I've ever watched in my life. Oh my God, it dragged.
What aggravated me was the blue and green screen work.
Yeah.
I can't think of any particular like one effect, but they're constantly standing and talking to each other like an indie movie, and the backgrounds they're just ridiculous. They're worse than Super Bowl ads at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have a matte painting.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't care that it's 2008. Give me a matte painting.
Fucking go to the jungle and film some shit, assholes.
The CGI thing with
at least
Speed
a
Racer,
sound stage.
I'm really glad that Speed Racer came up because it's been driving me nuts because everything falls apart in the jungle. But the speed of the things that are happening are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Last Crusade, the most incredible stunt sequence, possibly still one of the most incredible stunt sequences, they're probably going about 8 miles an hour on that tank, which is pretty quick. Like, I'm not going to say that it's not fast, but like this, it looks like they're going 45 or 70. I can't tell.
I can't tell. Yeah.
But nothing feels like things are actually happening. Whereas in that, as slow as they were going, God, it was like there was tension. Well, and Speed Racer had the tension from that speed. Well, this has no speed.
And it's like they completely forgot how to shoot, pace, or edit a movie. All of the pacing was off. All the edits came a little too soon or a little too late. They would like even in the trailer, it was actually better in the trailer because they cut it up. But like every scene, like Mutt and Mary would stop and look at each other and smile and then say their lines. Like it.
But it was filmed and choreographed like Cannonball Run or the Gumball Rally or something. Okay. Number 4.
You can say words out. it's an audio medium.
For those of you at home, Al
still hasn't caught on. He
card.
thinks we talk too much for a podcast.
Yeah.
No, I just think we're getting ahead of ourselves when we're still in the top 10.
We are.
Oh, no, there's so much complaining about this movie that's going to just seep through every moment.
Okay.
I can't help myself. I'm sorry.
All right. So number 4, I have the top 10. I forgot we were doing the top 10, Al. I'm sorry.
I was just making the point of, like, obviously there were computer effects capable at the time, better than what we got in this indie movie.
Well, and Speed Racer, despite its flaws and faults,
I brought it right back.
Like, it does all the things that this movie fails.
Well, I mean, and
I'm just happy to make that comparison because it's funny that happened.
Some movies benefit from the insanity and fluidity of CGI. Speed Racer's one of them. Indiana Jones is supposed to be a very grounded, physical real world feeling. Not, real world feeling.
No, but like dust blowing.
Yeah.
Real dust blowing on you. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
don't you know? Don't you know what I mean? Like, Indy got dirty
Yes.
while you were watching him, literally.
You want to
know?
Him just like that chase sequence at the end of Raiders is one of the best action sequences ever made, period. And it's like because they actually were out there filming on just a dirt road.
Right.
Just do that. Just drive around and film it. You don't have to spend $60 million on CGI to make a jungle chase.
Okay, before we get on to number 4, it makes me think of Mission Impossible. The Mission Impossible movies still continue to be like, all right, well, can we strap Tom Cruise to like, we did a plane last time. What about like a satellite? Can we tie him to a satellite this time and launch him into orbit?
Yeah.
Can we recover Tom Cruise safely? How much would insurance cost? Let's put that in the movie. Like, not to say that they should be launching Indiana Jones into space on a rocket. He's Harrison Ford, but like
they almost did.
The practical effects of things are lost completely in this movie.
Yeah, this is like the worst example of not using practical effects when they should have.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anyways, number 4 is for you, Al. A man and a woman are compelled for legal reasons to live life as a couple for a limited period of time. At stake is a large amount of money. That was strange.
This is what's her name from Friends?
No, it is not.
I now pronounce you Frank and Larry or Chuck and Larry.
No. This is Cameron Diaz and Ashton Kutcher.
Oh.
Yeah, so you know it's gonna be good.
Well, and you're going to believe how miserable they are with each other.
Yeah. It's called What Happens in Vegas.
Oh. Again, like, let's make a movie that references a ad campaign right now.
Yeah.
The timeless movie of what stays in Vegas.
Beef. It's what's for dinner.
Yes.
Let's make that movie.
Yeah, that's yes. The other white meat.
How about just like got milk?
Yeah, it's right here.
Indiana Jones and the quest for the gallon of milk.
They may as well. All right.
At number 3 this week, after being held captive in an Afghan cave, a billionaire engineer creates a unique weapon to fight evil.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Iron Man.
Iron Man, yeah. Was released less than a month earlier.
And still number 3.
Yeah.
The staying power of that movie is, wow.
It was cleaning up, yes. Absolutely. At number 2 this week. I'm trying to think of how. So this would either be gibberish or completely give it away based on people's knowledge of the source material. I'll just read it. The Pevensey siblings return to a land where they are enlisted to once again help ward off an evil king and restore the rightful heir to the land's throne.
This is not the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but this is the
Prince Caspian.
Yeah, Cask of Amontillado.
Yeah. Yeah, Narnia 2.
Is Liam Neeson still around for Narnia 2?
I think Aslan has like a small cameo.
There's a cameo.
in it.
There's a little dance sequence.
Yeah.
Aslan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
they crucify him because I know that he's.
Oh yeah, that was the first one. That was a very.
Oh yeah, it's all
very
a Christian metaphor.
Yeah, thinly veiled.
It's very Jesus-y with the allegory there.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis wrote books about.
And at number 1, in 1957, Indiana Jones becomes entangled in a Soviet plot to uncover the secret behind mysterious artifacts known as the Crystal Skulls. Number 1, of course, it was Indiana Jones. So, speaking of Crystal Skulls, so I
yes
looked. So Crystal Skulls are were claimed to be pre-Columbian Mesoamerican artifacts by their alleged finders. However, these claims have been refuted for all specimens currently available for scientific studies. The results of these studies demonstrated that those examined were manufactured in the mid to late 19th century, almost certainly in Europe, most likely in Germany, in the workshops of the town Eider Oberstein, which is renowned for crafting objects made from imported Brazilian quartz at that time.
Are you talking about like the Mitchell Hedges skull, which was an actual thing?
Yeah.
The Paris skull.
Yeah. The actual skulls. So I just wanted to put that in a little perspective. This is the only, until now, I don't know what the Dial of Destiny is, but up until this point, this is the only Indiana Jones movie that is about an artifact that's proven to be a fake and very recently made, like 100 years, 150
pretty
years
well
ago,
known,
to
man.
be
It's
fake.
it'd be like making Indiana Jones and the fucking lost Dead Sea Scrolls, you know?
No, we know those but like the Shroud of Turin.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like that's been
Shroud of Turin's probably
debunked
very
so
simple.
quick.
But at least that is like a 500-600 years old. Like, this is.
Well, I'm just the translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls are tenuous.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, this is something.
They are.
These skulls didn't even exist until like the 1880s or so.
Yeah.
So like.
It's a flim flam.
Yeah, absolutely is.
So also the city of Akator was based on a legend, a mythological city of Akakor.
Oh.
But that no one had even heard of that until like 1976. When some journalists wrote about it in something called the Chronicle of Akakor. And it was a city somewhere. It was supposed to be an underground city somewhere between Brazil, Bolivia, and Peru. But then they conflated it with the story of El Dorado. Which originally that El Dorado was El Rey Dorado, was a king who like dusted himself in gold and like dipped himself in a lake or something
for the Met Gala.
Then that blew up into a city of gold and its fabulous king. And they were looking for that in like Colombia and all around like the north coast of coastal areas of South America. But actually looking for that resulted in mapping most of northern South America.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Okay.
So that is vastly more interesting than the shit they just made up out of whole cloth in this.
Yeah, I'm sure, Thoreau, you'll get into it. Why we got aliens?
Well, I mean,
because there's one reason why we got aliens.
Spoiler. Thanks, Brian.
X-Files?
No, George.
I mean, yeah, it is all George. This is the most George-influenced indie movie by far.
It has to be, because I feel like Steven Spielberg checked out. Now, even a bad Steven Spielberg movie is better than, a good one from a lot of people. But yeah, it feels more George because it does not feel Steven. A little bit in the beginning, like we said.
It feels directed by George.
Yeah.
Like in a bad way.
Instead of like when Spielberg like covertly directs.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah. All right. Let's talk. Yeah. Let's talk about it. So, after Last Crusade, George, with very little input from Steven in any way whatsoever, started making the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles, which was a really fun show.
Yeah.
And video
what
games.
I watched of it, yeah.
Oh yeah, the game.
There were like 3 games that came out kind of in correspondence with the show, or 2 games, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
And those were LucasArts because they were the video game house for that kind of thing too.
Yeah, exactly. There were 4 people played Indy in that. There was Corey Carrier as like 9-year-old Indiana Jones. Patrick Flannery as like a late teen, early 20s Indy.
River Phoenix.
The River Phoenix area. George Hall played 93 years old Indiana Jones.
With an eye patch.
With an eye patch, yes. And
I wonder if they're going to take his eye in Dial of Destiny. I hope they do.
And Harrison Ford reprised his role for a cameo as Indy with a beard at one point in for an episode.
I've seen that episode. It's very brief.
Yeah,
and not that special, and it did not do anything for the show.
No, it didn't.
That show was largely edutainment too. It was you were supposed to learn about a historical fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was not unlike Wishbone.
Yeah. Oh, Wishbone. Wow.
Remember that?
Yeah, that was a show I really liked as a little kid. This fucking.
I wasn't that little, but yeah, I saw it on PBS.
The dog didn't talk, right?
Cody. Yeah.
We just learned shit from the dog somehow.
Yeah. So yeah. It's from the dog.
About history, something that lives approximately 13 years.
Barking about Napoleon and shit.
So yeah, Lucas started making this, or started making Young Indy. He originally had planned on making a series of prequels, prequel films starring River Phoenix. But of course that didn't happen for obvious reasons. So after that, he decided that he wanted to make a film with an older Indiana Jones set in the 50s. He wanted it to reflect the sci-fi 50s B-movie aesthetic that he loved as a child and teen, which is where the aliens came from, which is why there's a greaser in there and there's hot rods. Like, George is obsessed with his 50s teen childhood.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool, I guess. Like, it's a perfectly fine time to put a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the 50s-ness of it is like just permeates between the McCarthyism and the sci-fi elements and the rock and roll elements. Like, it's
the Ruskies.
It's
the thing I think about the it being set in the 50s, though, and we get a little bit of an allusion to it. The first 3 movies were what? It was like 37, 35, and 40 or
no. It was
it
was 36, 34, and 38.
38. And then this is in 51?
57.
57.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's 19 years after Last Crusade.
So he briefly mentions we fought in the war together.
Mm-hmm.
There is so much Indiana Jones fighting in World War II. He's a fully formed Indiana Jones in the war fighting the Nazis. We got none of that. I want to see that Indiana Jones.
He's referred to at one point as Colonel Jones.
Yes.
This one, they talk about all the medals that he won. So that's active service for sure.
Like, it's like having Audie Murphy step onto the battlefield already Indiana Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Like, yeah.
I want to see that. I want to see Kung Fu fighting Indiana Jones in World War II, man.
Hell yeah. That would be amazing.
This is cool and all, but like, damn, that would have been incredible instead of the prequels or something in the late 90s.
I think we've talked about this before. I would have I could go for 8 more Indiana Jones movies. I wish they had just kept pumping them out. I don't know
why they stopped. This is not number 5 coming out. This is not number 4. They're just Indiana Jones movies. They're not really a linear thing.
Right. They didn't need to wait 19 years.
Yeah.
But
that's what's so frustrating, because this didn't work. If this had worked great, I would shut up about it. But like, damn.
Right. It didn't pay off the anticipation factor.
If you're going to feed me slop, feed me real slop, like Indian World War II killing Nazis. You know, and that would be so satisfying.
So, all right. So, he came up with that idea. Lucas did. He pitched it to Spielberg and Ford, who disliked it. This George Lucas felt that Harrison and Steven didn't fully understand the franchise's malleability. He thought that instead of doing the exact same movie all the time, they could test different genres with each installment, and it wouldn't stop being an adventure, the title character looking for a MacGuffin. I mean,
is
on
this
paper,
another genre?
That it makes sense.
It's
No,
like,
I don't know.
It's
Sci-fi.
like the MCU does that. Like we talk about Winter Soldier being a political thriller or whatever, I guess. This is not a different genre of movie at all. This is just poorly executed.
It's more sci-fi-y.
Well, and it's
than
so
ever.
long. It's so
It was long.
This is like almost 2 hours, right? More than 2 hours.
Oh yeah, it's slightly over 2 hours. It's so long. It's so slow.
Needlessly long. It's just like why?
So
It's an Indiana Jones movie. Damn it.
This is interesting. So in 1993, George got Jeb Stewart, who wrote the Fugitive movie, and Die Hard, to write a treatment, which included Stalin sending the Soviets to find alien artifacts, and the aliens had psychic powers. This is the story. He held on to this story since 93. Like, this was not, they didn't slap this story together. This was what Lucas was intent on doing for years.
Yeah. Insanity.
15 years he held on to it.
Yeah.
And then, like we said, fans waited 19 years. That's a 19-year build-up for what should have just been another movie. That's the key to the Fast and Furious. They just keep pumping them out, and they don't make a big deal. They're like, if you like it, it's more of the same. We'll see you there.
Yeah.
Well,
we waited 19 years.
They advertise the shit out of it so everybody knows that it's happening, and then they come out, and then you buy it on DVD, and then you get another one in a year and a half or 2 years.
And they all make $800 million, and everyone's happy.
They don't act like it's an earth-moving thing, like the sequel you've been waiting for your whole,
Yeah, exactly.
So, was Lucas's original idea to have more of an alien invasion?
No, he just wanted aliens.
Okay.
He needed it to have aliens as the central thing because he wanted it to be in the 50s and aliens, which makes sense.
The atomic age.
I understand all of that. And honestly, the central conceit of the film, I could live with if it was a better made movie.
Yeah.
Because I have no skin in the game for the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. I don't care about those MacGuffins. I don't care about all of that. But the film itself. But all right, so he hired Jeffrey Boehm to write the next 3 versions. Those were written all the way through the mid-90s up until March of 96. Then Independence Day came out, and Steven told George he didn't want to make an alien movie. And at that point, Lucas decided to put it on the shelf and just focus on the prequels. In 2000, Stevens, in an interview, said that they were going to start working on an Indiana Jones movie soon. George, Steven, Frank Marshall, and Kathleen Kennedy met during the AFI's tribute to Harrison Ford in that same year. They decided that they did want to return to Indiana Jones. And at that point, George convinced Steven to use aliens by telling him that they weren't extraterrestrials, but interdimensionals.
Okay.
Boo.
Yeah. I mean, I'll wait until we're there, but
Boo.
What a load of horse shit.
Well, just the idea that somebody in 1957 is going to say the word interdimensional fucking being.
And nobody's gonna really think twice. You know what I mean? Like then it cuts to a wedding essentially.
Yeah.
You know, Indy's like, are they going to space? No, they're going to the space in between space. Huh. It's 1957.
They should be from Alpha Centauri or something. They should just say where they're from.
They could have just gone to
Boom.
space. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there was no reason for that. But then at this is the point where George decided the crystal skulls should be part of it. Should be the main MacGuffin.
Because he was high on Xanax one night. I was watching the History Channel in a dark room by himself. He's like, crystal skull.
And they hired on M. Night Shyamalan to write a script.
No.
All right.
Way.
Yeah. This was supposed to be, they were supposed to start shooting in 2002.
They're like, Shia LaBeouf was dead the whole time.
See, this is what I find fascinating. They didn't wait 19 years. They weren't like, no, we're all done. We're never coming back to this. They just couldn't get their shit together for 19 years.
I mean, it's an Indiana Jones movie. How hard can it be?
It sounds like that was the reason why it was George's like idea. They were avoiding it as long as they could.
That's the thing. Somebody just needed to tell George, Steven's not going to want to do it.
He did. He told George that for like 10 years. And
He
George
told you over and over and over
finally
again,
wore
George.
him down.
He doesn't want to do this.
And George, this makes no sense. Not for the character, not for the world that they live in, not.
And I can take a lot of this and accept it, even the bad parts of this movie. But yeah, it just falls apart. It's the worst.
You say you ask how hard it can be to write an Indiana Jones movie, but remember from the last two episodes, how many different versions there were of Temple of Doom and The Last Crusade, and how different they were from the original concepts, how different they were from what we actually got.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's very true.
But
think about how close this is to what George originally was.
Yeah.
And then he still probably had to compromise.
Yeah. So
that was the problem with the prequels. Nobody could tell him that.
Exactly.
I might have made a mistake.
That video.
Oh man.
Just that line is for the ages.
Oh.
Wow. It's like poetry though. It rhymes, right?
So M. Night Shyamalan says he was overwhelmed with writing the sequel, claiming it was too hard to get Ford, Spielberg, and Lucas to all focus on the script. Yeah.
That's pretty spicy, actually, for him to say that about three of the most famous people in the world.
That he's talked so much about how much he looks up to Steven Spielberg, particularly.
Oh, that's true. He does model himself after Spielberg.
Oh, yeah, he pulled Gallagher Brothers thing where, it's like, I'm as good.
Yeah.
Or better. Like, I have the secret, me and Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where did he say that? Like, where's that interview? I'm just curious. I don't doubt that he said it. But
it was in print, and I can't remember.
But yeah, talking about the three of them, that's pretty intense.
Science Fiction Weekly is
where
that is linked to.
I feel okay. I feel okay with him talking about it there. Because I was like, damn, if he was like talking to ABC for like Girl in the Water or some movie.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'd have been like, come on, bro.
I'm seeing a citation from the author Anne Donahue from Premiere, an article entitled Indiana Jones and the Curse of Development Hell.
Yeah.
There's that one, but the citation about them specifically having a hard time working together. Says it was from
Sci-Fi Weekly. Okay. Yeah.
So he hired on Stephen Gaghan and Tom Stoppard to work on a script. Stephen Gaghan, I don't know how to say his name. He worked with Soderbergh a lot. And then Tom Stoppard, of course, we spoke about on Last Crusade.
Oh, Soderbergh.
Yeah.
the black and white Raiders thing.
Yep.
Oh, that's who that was?
Yeah. I recently shared with these guys right before we got started. There's a black and white version of Raiders of the Lost Ark in Soderbergh's blog. You have to Google it. I'm not going to give you a link. But with Trent Reznor techno music over it so that you can see the framing and the blocking that Spielberg uses, so you lose all the dialogue and stuff. Check it out. It's really cool. That's all.
Yeah, definitely check it out. Google it, guys. So then they hired Frank Darabont.
Oh, I love him.
Everybody worked on this movie.
Uh-huh. It was his script was entitled Indiana Jones and the City of Gods.
That's a much better title.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Kingdom is inaccurate. I mean, at least we're not. They don't lean on explaining that.
Or an interdimensional ship or whatever. It's not a kingdom.
Yeah.
And they obviously weren't crystal the whole time. So when they were living there and helping the indigenous peoples, advance.
It is kind of ghoulish that it is an alien skeleton in the title. They're like, and the skeleton of an alien.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a kingdom. This guy's a king.
That was set in the 50s, but it had ex-Nazis, not Soviets. That was Steven wanted the ex-Nazis. They were in South America in the 50s. He wanted to work Juan Perón into it. Yeah, that's where Spielberg was coming from.
I could see there being a Soviet, little trio there, though, having it all kind of everybody bump into each other. That could be fun.
Now, at this point, Darabont says that Spielberg loved the script, but Lucas had issues. And so George decided to take over writing himself.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys, I got this.
I'm pretty good.
Oh, hey, guys, what if India? What if India is in a nuclear blast? And then there's gophers. Gophers see him.
So the thing that none of these drafts have mentioned, at least as far as you've said, is the mention of a child. And knowing Spielberg, see, in the last one we introduced his father, and this one we must introduce his son.
Absolutely.
Like dog.
Yeah. I mean,
Spielberg, I see you.
On paper, it makes sense. But yeah, Steven.
But he's stumbling down the stairs telling us the story. None of this is fun.
Lucas and Steven did agree that because of the Cold War, the Soviets would be better villains at this point.
But I like the Nazi twist because he hates Nazis. I hate these guys. He says it every movie. God, Nazis. I hate these guys.
Well, and Steven said after Schindler's List, he didn't feel right using the Nazis in such a light manner. And Harrison Ford said, "We plumb wore the Nazis out."
Yeah. I mean, but at the same time, it's interesting. The Juan Perón, I just know it from Billy Joel, Toscanini, Dacron, Rock Around the Clock. Anyways, but that having Nazis in South America is a good way to continue Indiana Jones having adversarial relationships with Nazis.
Well, yeah, and I mean, of course, he fought in World War II, but also, I don't know. It's just, obviously, it can't continue being the Nazis forever. Well, we thought.
I mean, time is a flat circle.
Motherfuckers. Yeah. So, then in 2004, they hired on Jeff Nathanson to write, who wrote Speed 2 Cruise Control.
So George wasn't happy with his draft.
His own draft. Yeah, no.
And he hired the guy from Speed 2.
Well, to be fair, he also wrote Catch Me If You Can and The Terminal for Steven Spielberg.
Well, Catch Me If You Can is fine.
But also Speed 2 Cruise Control, I don't know if you know. So Steven Spielberg's cinematographer is Jan de Bont. Jan de Bont, I think Jan de Bont has done cinematography for every Spielberg film since I want to say Minority Report, though it may even be earlier. It may be like Amistad or something. but Jan de Bont directed Speed 2 Cruise Control. So I imagine it had great cinematography.
Who's
at
the
least.
bad guy in that one? I'm trying to think.
Oh God, I don't know. I haven't seen it since like 1997 or something. Willem Dafoe.
Oh,
Yeah. Willem
Wow.
Dafoe
I might
is
have
the
to go
bad
back
guy
and
in
rewatch
Speed
that.
2 Cruise Control.
So are you going to tell us the name of Jeff Nathanson's draft?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Jeff Nathanson, his draft was called Indiana Jones and the Destroyer of Worlds.
Oh, no. This
I'm
Jeff
sorry.
Nathanson.
I'm sorry.
ahead.
You're right, Al. Indiana Jones and the Atomic Ants.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
I like it. It's weird.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Dial of Destiny, though, where I'm like, what?
Yeah, what is this?
Atomic ants? Why is this an alliteration? What happened?
But that scene with the ants in this, it reminded me of those like giant monster
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
insect movies.
So at that point, David Koepp was hired on to write, who has the screenwriting credit on this film. We finally got to our credited writer. And David Koepp is the one that submitted this first draft as the Destroyer of Worlds, Indiana Jones and the Destroyer of Worlds. The Oppenheimer quote, of course. It was changed to Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls.
I wish Oppenheimer had changed it.
Yeah.
He's like, and I have become a kingdom of the crystal
Of crystals.
skulls.
I am a kingdom.
George Lucas is the one that insisted that it be Kingdom. I think so.
Because he wanted to make sequels in space, probably. Stupid.
David Koepp's the one who had the idea about the son of Indiana Jones. And they David Koepp collaborated with Lawrence Kasdan on a dialogue rewrite, the love dialogue specifically between Marion and Indy.
It works.
It's
one of the few things in the movie that works.
Well,
that I enjoyed.
yeah.
every moment.
He wanted it to have that same like back and forth patter that they had in Raiders.
Yeah.
My hot take on this, as much as I love Karen Allen, she wasn't up for it. She was too rusty.
Yeah.
It was too. She couldn't pull it off this time.
I think she was having fun. That was the one thing that
She
I got.
smiled every single take and every single one. She was
But
smiling.
that's her job. I think that was her job, is to be like, hey, I'm so happy everyone's together.
I guess I don't know.
That's all I got from her performance was like, it's so nice to see everybody here together. 'Cause she's there when everyone's together.
I thought she gave the weakest performance. It was very, very like I don't know. It made me a little sad because I love Karen Allen and I love her '80s work. But so yeah,
She looking back, she reminds me very much of my own mother at that age.
Oh, interesting.
Smiling all the time.
Hmm.
Yeah, specifically.
Unlike
Not as edgy as she used to be.
yeah, okay, fair. I mean, we all get old.
She's also used to dealing with Nazis. These are the Soviets. It's totally different.
An entirely different kind of patter.
You know, who knows what they'll do when they kidnap you?
Yeah. So, unlike all the previous movies, this was shot entirely in the United States.
Where?
Sound stages and Demi.
On
New
a
Mexico.
soundstage.
Yeah.
New Mexico, Connecticut, and Hawaii.
Mhm.
Oh, always away.
Yeah.
Steve likes it there.
So I looked up Marshall College, and from Raiders, based simply on where the plane took off, I thought he was teaching in San Francisco, the San Francisco area. But it turns out canonically, he actually was teaching in Bedford, Connecticut. Bedford?
I
Yeah,
mean, it
there's a
felt
Bedford.
East Coast. It always felt
There's a
that
new
way.
Bedford.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It felt British even to me, not just East Coast.
Yeah, supposed to be Bedford, Connecticut. But I had convinced myself since watching Raiders this time that he was located on the West Coast.
Yeah, I had
And
too.
I think we all agreed on that, but now it turns out it actually is in Connecticut.
Okay, well that's good to know. So yeah, they shot in
So we
Hawaii.
weren't crazy all those years.
We were. So yeah, they shot in all those places, and they shot a lot on sound stages in the LA area.
And you can see it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
That's
said
not how you make an Indiana Jones movie.
I said things wrong earlier. Janusz Kaminski is Spielberg's cinematographer. I got the J for a Y names mixed up. I said
Okay.
incorrect facts. So yeah,
We're honest here at Harmless Phosphorescence.
we're trying to be. What do we have to lie about? There's not a lot at stake.
We're not
State
selling you bone
secrets.
broth.
Yeah. So
Rob.
yeah. So
Thought you said steak secrets also.
steak. Well,
Steak.
I'm
hey,
not
if anyone
sharing
has any
those
steak
out.
secrets, I'm down. Reverse searing, whatever you got.
Never mind.
So outside of our returning Harrison Ford and Karen Allen,
Before we get into the cast, I had one production note that I saw. Harrison Ford insisted on using a real whip, the real Indiana Jones whip, where there were safety concerns in the industry at the time, and they wanted to CGI the whip. And
No.
Harrison Ford just said, "That's ridiculous."
good for you, Harrison.
He's
Yeah.
like the whip and the hat do a lot of the acting.
Meanwhile, people are still fighting to fucking not use blanks on sets. That's
Yeah.
just crazy.
That's-
It's so
Yeah.
easy to CGI that, but
Mhm.
like, no, we have
Honestly,
to CGI
he-
the whip.
Yeah.
Honestly, he didn't do a lot of whipping.
No,
Never does.
No.
And the one time he really uses it in this movie, it's to Tarzan himself like a little pendulum.
Oh my God. Mark.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, in the warehouse. Okay.
yeah. Okay. So all right. Okay. Side note. I just rewatched Return of the Jedi in a theater for its 30th anniversary release. It was great. It's Raiders, whatever. Or Raiders, Return of the Jedi.
It was the special edition, wasn't it?
It's always the special edition.
Bummer.
Yeah. No, they they acknowledged that, actually. The guy came out and was like, no, it's the special edition. It's the only ones that Lucasfilm allows to be screened.
Oh.
Mhm.
that
Yeah,
sucks.
so it's got the only thing in that special edition wise I can't live with is Jedi Rocks. Like,
the Chex Mix song.
yeah, the checks or the the honeycomb monster or whatever that guy is. Yeah.
Oh, and is it Empire Strikes Back that we see Jabba walk around?
No, that's New Hope.
That's Rich. Oh, no.
Yeah.
That made me so uncomfortable.
Yeah, that was bad.
The one that gets me from Return is when Luke throws himself off the thing at the end, and whereas before he silently fell, now he screams as he's falling down the chamber after he gets his
and
hand
he
cut
goes,
off.
No.
Yeah,
That, yeah. Oh God, the nose.
but then he sacrifices himself, but then screams as he's falling. It makes no sense.
You mean at the end of Empire when he loses his hand?
Oh, Empire.
Inside Cloud.
Oh,
City?
right. I'm
Fighting?
sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Empire
I'm
screams.
mixing up my movies. Okay.
There's a lot of people falling down shafts in Star Wars. That's easy.
Yeah, man.
In space.
There's no OSHA in space.
So okay, but my point, my original tangent was I noticed in that that there's the point where Chewbacca swings and there's a Tarzan yell,
Oh yeah.
and then in Revenge of the Sith the Wookiees swing and there's Tarzan yells, and there was a point in this where Mutt was swinging and there was a brief Tarzan background yell. George Lucas is fucking obsessed with Tarzan.
I mean, it makes sense. He's of that age.
It does, but like, stop putting it in movies, George. We get it. You make the same reference over and over.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the story is fairly straightforward, George. We get it.
We get it.
Raised by apes.
All right, so we were about to jump into the cast.
Yeah, so, okay, we got Kate Blanchett joining us this time. Kate Blanchett, our own Lydia Tarr, Galadriel, just Kate Blanchett. I'm not going to go over her stuff.
But I will say, I bet she was on set for about a quarter of the time. They gave her that hairdo and wig so specifically, and
that was her idea, actually.
Well, brilliant, because any stand-in, it's just so easy to have a stand-in for over-the-shoulder shots.
Absolutely.
Just with the like page boy fucking wig.
Yeah. No, she had to show up 12 days tops.
Yeah, anyone can point from behind.
Jim Broadbent was in this one. He played the professor, the dean.
He played the Marcus type character, and he did not deliver.
No, he did not. And I like Jim Broadbent in general, but
a lot of this was on the page, like you're saying, the Karen Allen stuff, even.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were trying to give us that emotional element, and it took two characters to try to replace Marcus, like the Ray Winstone character, and then this Dean, and I miss Denholm Elliott.
Yeah, Denholm Elliott, man, he brought it. Speaking of Ray Winstone, of course, he played Mac. Ray Winstone, for anyone who doesn't know, his career goes way back.
The Departed is where you might have really noticed him.
Yeah, Departed.
He's the bad guy in Black Widow.
That's right.
Yes, that's right.
That's right. He was in Sexy Beast,
yes.
Which was a great movie. Yeah. Oh, he was also in Cats. Oh my God. I don't think I even realized that. And I watched that movie.
I didn't recognize him without his butthole.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you could only be cast if you had no butthole.
And John Hurt playing whatever the fuck that was.
What? Yeah, poor John Hurt.
Like, damn.
Oxley.
Yeah, he played Oxley, but
Oxley is the name.
It's like the different Ravenwood.
Yeah.
The mostly off-screen guy that helps him.
You know what I just found out, which I did not come up in our research for that film, our last episode, The Last Crusade. The guy at the beginning that's dressed like Indy, that's credited as Fedora.
Yeah.
That Indy's running from. That was intended to be Abner Ravenwood. And
that would make sense.
According to George Lucas, I don't know if you can call it his head canon because he produced the fucking movie. According to George Lucas, that is Abner Ravenwood.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Because he admires, what the kid did.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see they might be friends.
Well, and it makes so much sense. Like he becomes his mentor. He models his look after him. Starts banging his underage daughter.
It was love at first sight.
And that guy was just hired to find the crucifix. He didn't he wasn't a full-time employee for the other guy.
Yeah.
The guy that was obsessed with Coronado.
Yeah, he was an adventurer for hire. Yeah.
Which is why we didn't see him on the boat. He was not an adversary basically after he gave his hat away.
Yeah.
Right. He was more of a grave robber. Whereas Indy is a collective for the museum.
Yeah.
Which, being in Connecticut now, it does make sense. So there's a Museum of Natural History just literally over a river. Anyway. It was always like, what museum in LA are you talking about? All right.
Yeah. So, all right. So that brings us to Shia LaBeouf.
LaBeouf.
So, this is the guy they thought could take over the Indy franchise somehow.
Somehow.
They teased it. They thought they were going to make Williams and the Adventures of the whatchamacallits. Like, they thought Mutt Williams was going to there was going to be a series of Mutt Williams movies.
Those Transformer movies made way more money than anybody expected.
Absolutely.
I think that's why. And there was a lot of that people thought was on him because he was what brought levity to that.
Yeah, he was fine in the first Transformers film. He was fine. Like, it was fine.
I mean,
for a Transformers movie, it was fine.
Holes is one of my, favorite movies.
Holes is incredible.
I love
Holes. Is great.
Holes is great. Holes, yeah.
But you're right. I think it was that thing. They kind of did Drew Barrymore too. Like they noticed there was talent really, really young, and then sort of banked a lot on that. And then these people grew up, and it's like, oh, they're not great adult actors.
Yeah, exactly.
we might have overinvested.
I didn't ever see Honey Boy. Did anybody ever see Honey Boy?
I did not.
I didn't.
Sort of like self-autobiographical.
He plays his own dad or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess he had like a not healthy relationship with his father when he was in Hollywood as a child actor.
Yeah.
And that's what the movie's about. I was like, oh yeah, I'm good. I'll pass. I don't want to watch that. But it's interesting. There's depth to this dude.
I think he's married to Mia Goth, and
she's
a kind of a weirdo.
Yeah, no, you mean Shelley?
Or dating
Shelley Duvall's doppelganger, Mia Goth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is married to Mia Goth. Interesting. Wait, it says Mia Goth. It says they were together 2012 to 2018 and 2020 to present. So they had a little break there.
Break,
Oh, they got a kid together, huh?
He's like, I'm making Transformer movies. I can't be tied down.
Yeah,
how much Transformer pussy I get.
The films he made prior to this was Constantine, in which we talked about him in. But
wait, he played this same kind of role in Constantine, didn't he?
Kinda, yeah. But
Scraps O'Halloran.
Yeah.
Mutt Williams.
But then he was in Disturbia, which it was all right. And then the movie made right before this was Transformers. So Hollywood was like, he's our guy, right? He's our new guy.
So somebody, I was listening to somebody talk about this movie because Dial of Destiny is coming out. Somebody said Josh Hartnett should have played this kid. And I immediately was like, wow. Honestly, I think he would just have been a better person to play in that role.
I think he would have been better than Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
Just interesting to think like, oh, wow, if it hadn't been Shia LaBeouf, this might have been a totally different thing. Like another River Phoenix type of
If we had gotten a Rivers Phoenix level actor in this role, there might have been Mutt Williams movies. Yeah. All right, so I have some reviews. No Siskel and Ebert, 2008. Our boys were gone, but this movie's interesting. It has 77.
Which bums me out because I would wonder what Gene would think of the amount of Karen Allen.
He'd be like the best Indiana Jones movie since the first one, the most Karen Allen. Yeah. This movie has 77% on Rotten Tomatoes critic score, 53% audience score, which is
weird.
Yeah,
both are high.
I mean, 53 is higher than I think But
I'm just surprised.
Isn't that just like a go see it metric?
Yeah,
though? Like it's a very digital. Like
it's a thumb up.
Yes
It's a thumb up or down. It's
right? Yeah.
Yeah,
and it's not like it's not best movie ever, worst movie ever. It's just like I don't go, I guess.
But also, it's one of the few Indiana Jones films where the audience score is lower than the critic score.
Oh yeah,
interesting.
It's like Last Jedi.
Yeah,
I mean, not to compare those two things. I love Last Jedi. I do not like this movie.
So yeah, I've got a few Letterboxd reviews. Do we want to hear?
Read more than a few. You should read a handful of them.
Okay, I'll read all the ones I've got. I collected quite a few here.
happen, like I've said it a million times. The dogs listen to our podcast when I'm not around, to have familiar voices. And it was Transylvania 65000 was the first time we heard gay 5-star.
Yeah. So should I go low to high or high to low?
Oh, just mix it up.
Mix it up. Okay.
Yeah, we should guess how many stars.
Okay. I'll go back and forth.
No, just...
Can't wait to see Indiana Jones's big screen moment in Oppenheimer.
All right. I like the cut of his jib,
Yeah.
or their jib.
It's timely.
Yeah. Any guess on the stars? Are you guessing the stars?
Oh, am I guessing the
3.
stars?
I was
Let's
5.
say one star. Oh, it's 5
That
stars.
was 5 stars. Yeah. Just because something wasn't made by white people doesn't mean it was aliens.
5 stars. 5 stars.
I'm so behind that.
Half a star.
So,
That's such
all
a
right.
gripe I have.
are you reading the extremes, or are you doing like a range of stars?
I don't have 2s or 3s in here.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of middle of the road.
Those ones are always very reasonable and make points. Like they're not fun.
Right. So it's high or low.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck you, Shia LaBeouf.
5 stars.
I'm coming for you. Watch your fucking 6.
It's half a star. I forgot to name people's names. I should remember to do that. It's always funny. That was Jack Carb. Says fuck you,
Yeah.
Shia LaBeouf.
He's all, I'm gluten full.
So the people who hate Shia LaBeouf, they are so wild. I was listening to
They really
NPR
do.
at some point, and they were telling this story about like people using information on the internet to find people, and Shia LaBeouf had put a video of a flag up on a flagpole for like a few minutes, and people triangulated the location somehow and were able to like deliver pizzas and stuff, and people went to this flag.
Jeez.
Weird.
Crazy.
Yeah. There's that whole sub genre of like people that find like the Google Maps people. They
Yeah.
see an image on Google Maps and then figure out where it is in the world. Just
Yeah, GeoGuessers.
yeah, that shit's crazy.
Yeah. It's a fun game to play. It's a little bit easier than you'd think.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier than you'd think.
My friend Justin, he lives and works in LA. Once Shia LaBeouf pulled up next to him, and they made eye contact, but Shia, if I remember correctly, just did the like shh motion with like finger to the lips, shush. Yeah.
He's like,
So
who am I gonna
nothing weird, nothing aggressive. Yeah.
Who am I
Pretty
going to tell?
funny,
I'm
though.
in traffic.
Well, and I think that he's a classic case of like the unbearable crushing pressure of fame.
Yeah.
And being told you might end up being the next Indiana Jones, also Transformers, blah blah. Like, I
And
would
then
probably lose my
immediately-
mind.
But then almost immediately the world turning against you.
Yeah.
Like you said, like he became one of those celebrities that had a cult dislike following.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel
Weird.
for the dude. Honestly,
I don't have a problem with
his
him. I mean,
performance in Fury was incredible. That's where I'm like, I know the dude can act. He's incredible, but also this sucks.
Well, and he does
This
all that
sucks.
weird shit, like the "Don't let your dreams be dreams," and like watching Shia LaBeouf movies for 24 hours straight while he video films. Like he does those weird things that makes me.
yeah,
Well,
the
and,
like experimental Franco shit.
and the weird thing where he got sued for plagiarism, and then plagiarized his apology letter.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um.
You could argue it's performance art.
I mean, I'm wondering if it is.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
So, all right, more reviews. Indy is so baby girl in this one. Not
5
exactly sure why there's
fucking
aliens, but
stars,
okay.
baby.
5 stars.
So baby girl in this one.
I had
Yeah.
to have Jude explain that one to me.
What
a Gen Z TikTok thing. Anybody who's attractive, male or female, is baby girl. So like, oh, Harrison Ford's so baby girl.
All
I
right.
see. That is streets ahead.
Yep, exactly.
You're taking this thing out a whole new.
Stop trying to make fetch work.
All right. You guys are too mean to this movie. Yes, I may be biased since I used to watch this the most during my childhood. But come on, aside from the aliens part, it's just a perfect Indiana Jones movie. Shia isn't bad.
Aside from the entire conceit of the movie, it was not a bad movie.
So I noticed a lot of the 5-star reviews, the 4 and 5-star reviews, where I used to watch this a lot as a kid, and I instantly became that guy drinking from the cup in Last Crusade who dies from aging.
Yeah, totally. I watched this a lot as a kid.
Like, oh no, shut up. Yeah.
All right. Well, we open.
Well, I got one last one.
All right.
All caps Dean just writes, "Boo."
It's Dean Cain.
Yeah. So all right, that is it, guys. You ready?
He's a ghost. That's what. Ooh.
So yeah, that's it. You get ready to jump into the movie, guys?
Let's get into the fridge.
Here we go. This is Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skulls. We open in 1957 in the Nevada desert. There's some hep rock and roll kids racing hot rods.
It is an exciting first few minutes.
I didn't hate the opening. So this is the thing. This is the only Indiana Jones movie where the opening adventure has nothing to do with doesn't have nothing to do with the following adventure. This is just, we just come in the middle of this adventure and it just continues to the end of the movie. This is the first time
we follow the kids in the hot rod, which leads us to following the motorcade type thing, and then just getting through the gate. Yeah, you're right. There's no
previous adventure. There's no Indiana Jones getting the thing from the temple and
being foiled.
Yeah.
Right. This is where we have our opening. Same villain, same objective.
Yeah. It's the
versus like Raiders, we had our villain was there, but different objective.
Yeah. And in Temple of Doom, it was the thing with the diamond.
Completely different.
Yeah, he just happened to jump into. Yeah, and then
in Last Crusade, it starts with the cross of Coronado.
Yeah, this is the only Indiana Jones movie that doesn't have a completely disconnected MacGuffin at the beginning.
Yeah, they could have eliminated all of that, getting to the base, and started the movie with Indy tied up inside Area 50. I don't know if it'd make it better or worse, but they could have done that, because you're right. The first couple scenes have nothing to do with anything.
Well, no, not just
showing us the Russians sneaking in.
Not just that, but like they didn't have a disconnected adventure in this one, like they did in all 3 previous movies.
I know. I was saying the very least they could have done.
Yeah.
Was started with getting him out of the truck, at the very least.
Well, okay, and that's the thing too, is that the fact that is that there's all of this, they don't actually get going on the adventure then, even. We don't even find out what the objective is until the 40-minute mark.
Right.
We don't, Crystal Skulls, that doesn't come up until 40 minutes in. That's when Mutt shows up. That's around 40 minutes. We get 40 minutes, which is longer than any of the previous preambles from the films, but also goes nowhere.
Right.
Just everything about this movie was so slow. There were so many of them. There were so many scenes of Indy standing in a tomb explaining things, when usually it's Indy trying to knock down a wall and being like, well, that over there says that. Come on, let's go. Like,
Right.
not just standing and explaining. I'm sorry, this movie makes me unreasonably angry. So yeah, we meet some Soviet agents. They infiltrate Area 51 by posing as American soldiers. We meet Eastern European dominatrix Irina Spalko.
Yeah. 1957.
Yeah, 57.
Let's keep in mind 1957 when we're thinking about how these people look and what they're doing and thinking.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, and let's also keep in mind 2008 when we think about our Peruvian lost tribe that we meet and how that's handled.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, so
But I mean, she looks very, like you said, dominatrix. She looks very, very modern.
yeah,
You know,
does.
like something you'd see on Pornhub now.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've discovered.
So I've heard.
So we we learned they kidnapped Indy and his partner Mac. They force Indy to locate an alien corpse from the Roswell incident using a hitherto unknown property of magnetism.
Yeah, they're real picky and choosy of when that thing is magnetic.
And-
I guess if you put it in a woven burlap type, you know, like a gunny sack, then it's not magnetic.
Except for gunpowder, which contains
Saltpeter.
trace amounts of any sort of metal.
And what's so infuriating is I thought they were also going to use that as a setup for him disarming all of the Russians.
Mhm.
Like, yes, using it to find the magnetic coffin,
Yeah.
but also like to on the sly take they show even pouring the grenades. But then it comes to a gun showdown and the guns are back in play. It would have been fun if that came back.
I thought he was going to outsmart them. I didn't think he was going to disarm them all, but I thought he was going to create an improvised explosive device with all of the gunpowder to use against them.
That would have worked. And yes, not every bullet had to be taken away, but there wasn't even the simple click, click, click. His gun was the one that was empty, not any of the Russian. It's just, another poor example of poor writing.
Yeah, and I'm not a fan of David Koepp and his writing. He's responsible for some of the sequel trilogy issues too. But anyways, well, not as responsible as J.J. Abrams, but anyways, Ike Perlmutter. So anyways, they locate the corpse. And then it manages to get the drop on the Soviets, then gets double crossed by Mac.
So they show that it's after they find it, they continue to show us that it's magnetic. There are all these like broken crates and metal bits that had come out of these crates as they're dragging it onto the back of the truck or whatever.
Yeah.
Why are there all these broken crates on the floor of this warehouse? They didn't break them open.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one that has the Ark of the Covenant is broken.
Well, that's later.
I know, but
And that's because he drove through a wall of crates. But before that, like they just moved a bunch of crates to get to the one that they wanted. But then they show all these broken crates all over the floor.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
I blame it on like sloppy maintenance or janitorial staff.
Right. Upkeep at Area 51.
Yeah.
I loved how the casket type thing it was in, the pod thing, was also magnetic because they're dog tags and the gunpowder, small objects, yet they open them with crowbars. The crowbars do not stick.
No.
Oh, they did. There was a sticking.
But
They showed.
But why didn't it go ka-chink?
It did.
No.
No,
Okay.
it did once,
I missed
but
that. I totally
it
missed
would
that.
only be magnetic when they wanted to show it was magnetic. It wasn't magnetic all the time. It
Right, by
magnetized the
Prince.
crowbar, but not while they were trying to use it to open the thing.
Open the
Right.
thing.
And it didn't drag itself to the metal truck.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Anyway.
Selective magnetism.
Selective magnetism.
And also, it's Area 51, and it's like so locked down that they don't even let generals in. but the only people guarding the entire place are 3 guys at the gate.
At the gate.
Yeah, there's no one at the actual warehouse. Nobody.
And forget about Russians sneaking on. Those 3 guys are expecting a nuclear test blast that day.
Right.
So they haven't even upped the staff for that.
So they, Indie Man.
Maybe that's why most of the staff was gone.
Yeah, you're right. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
But still, yeah, they're totally unaware of this alien body scheme.
Yeah.
You can't come in. We're gonna nuke this place.
But also, it seemed like they recognized the general who was a Russian. Like, did the Russians infiltrate the American military and rise up to the rank of general?
I don't know.
I don't think they recognized him. They recognized his stripes.
Okay.
Yeah. But we're asking these questions when it could have started already in the fucking, storage unit and him coming out of the truck. Because you're right. Why 3 guys? Why this? Why did they recognize? That scene does nothing. Sorry.
Yeah. All right. They well, I mean, the whole beginning does nothing. Like, they could have started with them. He could have just been. He could have had an unconnected adventure, gone back to his place like usual, his university, and then like, oh my gosh, they're coming after him. Why? Oh, it's because Mutt came to him with this letter that has stuff. Like, that's all we need.
That's what should have happened.
Mm-hmm.
That's the ideal version. I'm saying even in this version, they could have, because the Area 51 stuff is kind of cute.
It's fine. Yeah.
I'm not going to use another word, but cute. And they could have started it there. But you're right. The ideal version is the indie formula.
Yeah.
But even in this, they could have done the bullet setup. They could have had at least him in the middle of an adventure. Yeah. How did he get kidnapped? How did Indiana Jones end up in the trunk of a car? Probably someone with a gun, but do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a compelling question knowing what this guy's capable of.
And we come into the middle of his adventures all the time, but those are adventures we just see the end of. Then we start the new one. We don't come into the middle of the current adventure that's going to take the entire movie.
No, and we certainly don't add extra scenes in the beginning to bring you to the non-adventure.
With CGI gophers.
Oh, the CGI.
Yeah.
Bad. So many.
The CGI of the human beings. Like, they were in a warehouse. They were in a fucking warehouse and they couldn't set dress it.
Yeah.
It was so fallen.
They reminded me of the little bird mammals on Octo.
I mean, I could see that. The porgs.
Porgs.
Oh, those little guys, yeah.
I can see that. They were very.
I believe those were legit prairie dogs.
I think you said it, Josh. You're right, though. We don't open with things like this in an Indiana Jones movie.
No.
Well,
we open in Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the little shake, rattle, and roll race through the desert. But that's a great point.
It's
right, but why wasn't Indy involved in any way?
It looked like that was the only thing they shot practically. Honestly, was the teens in the car.
Which is probably the stuff they filmed in Deming.
Yeah.
They probably did film that, but nothing else.
All it serves is to set up the decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So Indy manages to escape. There's the big action set piece. He gets out of the warehouse and gets onto the rocket car. Lord, protect this rocket house and all who dwell within this rocket house.
This was one of the things that I wish had been really practical, and not like launching Indiana Jones,
sticking him on a real rail car
out on some salt flats. But no, like having a real sled and like going through the practice of like, okay, we're gonna do this and we're gonna film it at X speed, but we're gonna film it, so you're traveling this fast. It's gonna make you look like you're going really fast. Instead, we got step onto the thing CGI.
Yeah.
Which is so different.
Andy made a good point. Where are all the other empty fridges that were blown and thrown through the air?
Where are all the fridges?
Where are all the fridges from the other decoy out? Not decoy, but setup houses.
Why were they playing music? Why was music playing in this house?
Or Howdy Doody. Howdy Doody was piped
that's
in
right.
on the TV.
Yeah. Why did they turn the TV on? Why was there actual food in the fridge?
I don't. Well, food maybe to see the effect on that, but you're right. Like to simulate the average afternoon in a person's home is not necessary to see the effects.
Well, see, in the next house over, they had a TV that was off, and they wanted to see the difference between an on TV and an off TV.
Like,
what would happen?
They both were blown up. All right.
Like,
Yeah,
Jesus
exactly.
Christ, Howdy Doody is turned into a real boy.
Maybe the Howdy Doody TV stayed on, survived. We don't know.
We don't know.
This is off screen. I'm making this up as I go.
They were too. I would rather see that follow up than anything that happened with Indy.
Yeah. So we get the town. He goes to the town. The refrigerator blows up. I thought it was cute where that there was that one cute moment where the Russians realize what's happening and they drive away, and Indy chases after them like, "Wait, you're leaving without me."
Yeah. Hold on.
So he's
and obviously he did not watch the very special episode of Punky Brewster where they warned us about playing in fridges.
Yeah. They really did.
They did. Cherry almost died.
So he then gets interrogated by the FBI. They think he's a communist due to his association with Mac. We cut to Marshall College. Indy is teaching a class. He does more teaching in this than in the other three movies combined.
Yeah. He takes it seriously.
Yeah.
General Ross comes in and vouches for him. Not the same General Ross that we know and love.
He's about to play General Ross in the new Captain America movie. He's taking over for William Hurt. So it is funny that Harrison Ford was talking to General Ross.
It is. He gets placed on an indefinite leave of absence due to the FBI thing. The dean, it was the new Marcus Brody, resigns in solidarity, I guess. Indy packs.
It sounded like the board wanted to not give Indy his pay for his leave, but then Dean Charlie, in order to get that deal for Indy, resigned.
Yeah, that was his ultimatum.
Like he took a bullet for Indy.
Yeah, he did
for his continued salary.
Yeah. Indy.
Yeah, his side hustle isn't even a side hustle.
Yeah. Indy packs up. He decides to head to Europe to teach. But on the train to New York, he is approached by a young greaser, Mutt Williams. They go to the old chocolate shop when Mutt tells him that a former colleague of his, Harold Oxley, found a crystal skull in Peru before being abducted along with Mutt's mom. She says she knows Indy. Indy isn't sure who she is.
So when he tells him his name, Indy's kind of incredulous. It's like, what? And he says, that's the name he gave himself.
Mm-hmm.
You got a problem with that? But here's my point. He named himself after the dog.
Yeah.
I was just going to, yep. I was waiting for,
himself, Yep.
We named the dog Mutt.
Yeah. It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Yeah. Oh, so clever and layered, but yep. Mutt Williams.
Yeah,
and I'm sorry, the Brando, the wild one, like shot of him riding directly towards the camera, dressed. Now we know he's emulating that, but it was just so heavy-handed,
so on the nose. This is so George Lucas. Like he can't just lightly touch it. Like he's so ham-fisted in everything
with his nostalgia. Yeah,
yeah.
Nothing is subtle. It's like this was cool. I'm telling you, what's cool.
You know what was cool? White guys in the 50s.
Yeah. What are you rebelling against? What do you got? I'm George Lucas.
Yeah. What are you rebelling against? A comfortable middle class lifestyle.
I might have made just a mistake.
They go to Peru. There.
As one does.
There's
the Soviets. The Soviets try to get him. There's the big motorcycle chase. I skipped that.
Chase scene. It looks like he brought a knife to a gunfight. That was kind of cute. After when they crashed, they finally crash slide in the library, and the kid is sitting there. Is one of Indy's students. He's like, "Oh, Mr. Jones, I have a question about blah blah blah." And then as they ride off, he tells the kid, you want to be a great archaeologist, you got to get out of the library.
Yeah.
And it was
driving off on the motorcycle.
And it was a pretty badass stunt where like Indy hops off the motorcycle to deal with a couple dudes and
gets
then
dragged into the car. Yeah.
Well, he like
on another
muscle ups onto the bike too.
Yeah.
No,
with
that
like metal plates in his shoes kind of thing. That was great.
The motorcycle chase I thought was kind of the best part of the movie, like as far as like action set piece goes. Yeah.
It looked dangerous.
Yeah.
It looked dangerous.
It's
nothing
the only
else
thing
did.
that looked dangerous.
It's the only thing that looked like they actually shot it on moving vehicles.
Yeah. Like when he's doing the splits with a sword, I don't feel like he's in danger, you know.
Or even on that fake ass looking cliff.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Splits.
You're supposed to feel that danger, but
That
but that's
fake
exactly
looking cliff. Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh my god. So let's see. They find where Oxley was in a cell for some reason. I couldn't.
Yeah, in an insane asylum. And as they walked by that one character who's screaming through the bars, I was like, that guy's name is Multiplicacion Miguel. See if you can figure it out.
So the riddle was about
the Lambs reference.
The riddle written in ancient Uga language said something about the lines in the earth only the gods can read, and that he deduces those are the Nazca lines in Peru.
Which anyone could deduce.
Yeah. Just this month, though, Japanese archaeologists discovered 4 more geoglyphs in the Nazca Desert using AI technology.
Interesting.
Far out.
There are over like 300 different geoglyphs in the area.
That's really the geoglyphs are cool.
Aliens,
I'll give you that. Aliens.
Well, yeah, they are cool.
So they anyways, they find carvings he made, leads them to the grave of Francisco de Orellana, a conquistador who was after El Dorado. There they get attacked by some guys for some reason.
These guys just hanging out in the cemetery wearing death masks?
And isn't this the one
jumping
where
around
they...
like spider monkeys?
Yes. And is this where the one where they pop out of little, like if they're in an advent calendar, they break through these...
They pop, little doors. Yeah. But like
that they've constructed a barrier and then they crash through. They've been waiting.
That was later in the
temple, were they like the same guys? They seemed like the same guys because they hopped around all crazy like these guys did. Like, who were those guys? Because if they were even if they were these guys and not different guys, who are these guys?
I don't know.
It's supposed to be the same.
It's all getting out of control.
And how are they saying, I don't know. This is a far advanced society and it has been for centuries, but let's make them primitive. Looking and acting.
Yeah. But also, I don't know who the fuck these cemetery guys are. I don't know who these cemetery dudes are. It's never explained or explored.
They guard
trying to make a living,
guarding cemeteries at night.
Yeah, they hide in the walls. You get paid extra if you can get close to the walls.
We don't know how holidays they celebrate.
Right. Well, and like the guy had the blow dart. And then he,
That was hardcore.
but like
That
Jude was like,
was-
"Oh, it's one of those double-sided blow darts."
It's like, shit, the safety's off.
That's funny.
That is
No,
very
Indiana Jones just has the lung power of 3 men.
Yeah.
It's just savage. I don't know why the dart going in that direction mortifies me more than the dart going in the other direction, but it does.
But I just okay, so and they're going down into the crypt. And okay, so sure, Indiana Jones is going into a tomb, a crypt, whatever. But like I keep thinking about like when they were like going down into the Temple of Doom and how exciting and fun that was with like the bugs and like the thing closing and all that, and how boring this was as they just slowly went past wall things that he explains to Mutt and just slowly looks at stuff with Mutt. And
We had the scorpions briefly.
oh, that was so
but-
lame. CGI scorpions. So lame compared to actual bugs on Kate Capshaw.
Yeah, exactly. The entire anything inside this crypt and the temple, it all looked the way the Indiana Jones ride at Disneyland looks.
Yeah.
Like inside, like
The
I don't know.
sets are
like weak
obviously sets.
stagecraft.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looked like someone said, "Let's make an Indiana Jones kind of movie."
Well, background like production design.
Yeah.
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 Paper mache walls.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. What was that show on Nickelodeon? Temple of
Oh, yeah. I remember that.
Oh yeah, it was like a game show type.
Yeah.
thing?
It looked like that almost.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I used to work at a Jimmy Buffett's that had all kinds of weird rock cliffs inside, like fake fiberglass walls or fake fiberglass waves. That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
It looked like the inside of a restaurant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or the shit that gets built for a community theater production.
yeah. Like a theme hotel or something. Yeah.
Right.
It's,
Yeah.
what is it?
On
Chicken
TV,
wire
yeah.
and paper mache.
Yeah.
Permission.
Mm-hmm. So, all right, they anyways, they find the crystal skull. It's just under a thing. It's just under a
Yeah.
guy.
He's just hiding it.
Remember the first one where like the idol was like in the middle of a room and it was like important
Uh-huh.
feeling? This one's like, hey, there's something under this guy.
Yeah. Let's just rifle around for a second.
So, what did they get there? They got
the
another
crystal skull.
They got the one crystal skull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
There's just
main
the one.
thing, the thing the movie's named after. The
They got it.
MacGuffin. It
Movie's
was
such
just
a
under a
mess.
guy.
Why?
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyways, then they leave
So,
and get immediately
there-
captured by the Soviets. Go ahead, Al.
He asked why there was Indy's whole hypothesis that Ox showed up. They did show the 2 sets of footprints, and Mutt said it could be the same guy twice. He's like, oh yeah. So that leads Indy to believe that Ox came here, found the skull, maybe took it to Akator, and then for some reason brought it back to return it to Oriana.
He only
And
checked.
return it was one of the words scrawled or
Yeah,
something
return.
Like
That was the main
Well-
word scrawled in all different languages.
Well, he had
On
to.
his to-do list.
He had to bring
Yeah.
it back because he only checked it out for a week.
Yeah. This kingdom does not fuck around.
Yeah. So yeah, they get captured by the Soviets right away. And then they go to the Amazon. There, they get reunited with Oxley, who's
This movie needed Nazis, man. It needed Nazis.
hmm
it did.
They keep just running into the same Soviets in the different parts of the jungle. If they had run into Nazis, that would have been hilarious. If the Nazis are what got them to the Soviets or something.
If Nazis and Soviets are in it, that would have been awesome.
Like, and they're like, the Nazis are like, haha, we have you, Dr. Jones. And they're like driving them, and the Soviets are like, haha, kill the Nazis, save Dr. Jones. That would have
Well, it
worked.
seems to all be driven by her plan
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
her desire and her, it's not like the Fuhrer is collecting weapons to destroy the world. She's like, I believe these weird objects are special. So that's pretty weak.
That is.
Yeah.
I think Steven, his idea of the Nazis hiding, if he wanted it to be 57, fine, but that would have been cool.
Or I mean,
Like
even because
Nazis still looking for shit in South America on the low.
George talked about how he was inspired by knowing that Stalin was into like psychic powers and stuff. Like if they had just said Stalin wants it, like that would have gone a long way.
Yeah,
Right?
I thought the name dropped Stalin at least once.
I don't remember it, but
Okay.
I can't say for sure. I was coming in and out of a fugue state during this movie.
I can't remember if it was when General Ross told Indy who this woman was when he told him she was a paranormal scientist, or then when she dialogues or monologues in the Amazon after getting, she's talking about psychic powers. She thinks that, psychic warfare, that these skulls can be a mind weapon and blah, blah, blah. At one of those points, they name dropped Stalin, but it was so fast.
Like, here's my boy JS on the low. Oxley's
he forced his people to call him Uncle Joe. Oh, that's true.
Oh no, I know. And sit on his lap. But anyways, Oxley has a touch of the crazies. We meet Mutt's mom, who's Marion Ravenwood. They make Indy stare into the eyes of the skull. Indy gets hypnotized or something. And now he can speak crazy, so he can translate what Oxley says.
I like this.
Staring into the eyes.
I like that we get a little bit of Indy being like, "Oh shit, what the hell was that, man?" And leveling with Oxley afterwards and being like, "Hey, man, I understand why you're a crazy person now." I liked that setup a lot. It's
the reason,
weak, but I liked it.
The reason it bothered me is that it's the same for the entire movie. Is they've always established that Indy doesn't buy into magic and sorcery and that kind of thing, but each movie ends up having a tad of that, and it's kind of about belief and what cultures believe what. And this movie is nothing but paranormal, parascience.
We get an alien corpse in the first scene,
right? Yeah, magic objects that have magic mind powers, and I get the arc. I don't know what I'm trying to say. There was too much magic and fantasy to explain things in this movie. Indy doesn't normally get hypnotized by I don't know.
So the end of the movie, we'll get there, but it was what a twist kind of thing at the end, right? Like, it's not the city of gold; it's the friends you made along the way.
Yeah, I have a big question.
But they, I don't even know. I'm like,
they're beating us over the head with it the whole time.
Fucking time.
It's not a mystery. It's not fun. It's just there are aliens and they do have psychic powers. If they had just gone with the there's a skull and then Indy gets the psychic power thing, I would have been like, oh, whoa, okay, that's cool.
And in each movie, he as a character drops nuggets of history and facts about the people and region that he's in. He's never not talking about crystal skulls. He's not even really talking about archaeology much at all.
Yeah. Yeah, and when he is, it's just very explainy stuff for I don't know.
No, you're right. So it's like you said, Thoreau. This should have been the unrelated adventure the movie starts with. I found a crystal skull. We believe it has psychic powers, Dr. Jones. And then there's the real movie.
Yeah.
The crystal skull should have been that, the golden idol in the first.
Oh my God. That would have been fine.
And just hand it over, have the Russian that's stealing it mention the psychic powers, and then get on with a fucking proper Indiana Jones movie.
A real Indiana Jones movie, yeah. So they
what could have been? There's a lot of potential in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just 19 years from the making.
Spielberg feels so checked out of the filmmaking aspect of it.
So I don't think he was as involved as he would have been if he had made it himself.
Good
I
point.
think he just wanted his friend George to have his fun with aliens because he felt bad because his movies were getting shit on a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
Like, you only make one thing, and I've got a lot of things, so you should take Indiana Jones and just make that movie you always wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure it was a fine, George. Fine.
And then everyone's like, George, we still don't like the thing you do. The thing you do is still not great.
I wonder what it is. Is it Indiana Jones and Star Wars, or is it your ability to direct movies? Stop.
Indiana.
It used to be about the archaeology, George.
Yeah.
Before you sold out.
So, Spalko tells Indiana that she believes the skulls to be alien and from the mythical city of Akator. Indy realizes that Oxley is attempting to communicate through automatic writing. He discovers a route to the city.
I hated this on the back of the look at Indy getting his brain hummed by this skull.
Mhm.
Now Oxley's just writing in thin air. And the Russian lady says, "How did I not think of automatic writing?" What?
Yeah.
Why is any of this happening? This is not moving anything ahead
No,
at all.
there were so many scenes of people talking. This was mostly people talking.
Like, oh, this thing is happening. Wow, I can't believe that we're talking about this thing that's happening.
And then some green screen CGI chases, and then more talking.
There are times when talking about things happening works, and that's when it's like, yes, and now we will remove the thing from the thing, and it's going to hum his brain.
Remember in Last Crusade when they were talking about what the things were while he was sitting on top of the corpse getting the etching, and it was like, like they were moving along character, they were moving along story, they were moving along action simultaneously.
Yes, that was the draw, is that the exposition always came while Indy was in the middle of something.
By doing something.
Doing something. Sometimes life-threatening. He's giving the exposition as that's happening. In this one, they did sort of the same thing, but it's just him and Mutt walking around in that tomb. And he slightly mentions the binding of heads, which is culturally accurate. But again, the archaeology that we look for, and he's like, yeah, they used to do that. That's weird. And then wander around.
So, all right. Now we get the completely dead end escape thing where they get caught in the slow sand. That was What was the point of this?
I don't know. And the snake rope thing?
Oh, well, and okay, so this is yet another example of a thing happening, and they're talking about it. Oh no, it's not quicksand, it's an air pocket.
Dry sand pit.
Dry sand pit. If there is an air pocket, then boom, air pocket. Oh no, don't move. We don't need any of that shit. It's quicksand. You're sinking. Somebody needs to grab onto something outside of this. Why are you explaining the oldest movie trope in fucking Hollywood to us?
And okay. He comes back with a fucking snake, which is the dumbest shit ever, and is of course just for the Indiana Jones snake trope thing.
And you would kill the snake if
you would tear it in half. You would tear it in half. Yes.
Made to carry the weight of a man.
I would just like to say one thing.
It's not meant to be tensile in that way.
Yeah.
That's what it is. No matter what it's holding, they're not designed.
I would just like to
in a jungle
ropes.
full of trees.
That's what I was gonna say. There's branches everywhere.
Well, we see him fucking swinging from vines later.
Vines, branches, all sorts of things that aren't snakes.
And he has a knife on him at all times.
Yeah.
But he went and got he's like, it's a rat snake. It's fine.
See, that would have been a funny blooper to play that bit. Like,
yes.
On like a deleted scene and have them be like, here's your snake joke for the movie. Because we didn't really get a lot of snake jokes in this movie, which kind of.
No, this was the weirdest way to do it.
But this being the one, I'm like, God, that's so dumb. But that would have been really funny for them, like in the world of DVD Easter egg bloopers, because Harrison probably thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, probably.
But having him bust out his knife out of his boot and cut a vine and save his dad makes way more sense for this character.
But also, this whole escape thing is immediately just taken back because they're just captured and taken back to camp and right where they started. It's not. It didn't advance anything.
Not a single thing, except it taught kids the wrong way to handle dry sand. See, when we were younger, we knew that you used your arms to pull out your legs and then your face to pull out the rest of your body.
The only thing it served was they both think they're going to die, and that's when Marion blurts out that Mutt is his son.
It does, but that, oh my God, that it's so easy to shoehorn in that plot point anywhere else.
Yeah. Is this the first moment that they all thought they were going to die? Because there have been about a dozen in the last 10 minutes of this movie.
Okay, this is when they thought they were going to die and they were alone.
Oh, I guess that's true. They didn't want the Soviets to know.
But also,
I'd have been fine with all that if it had not been a snake.
I'd have been fine with all that if it had gone somewhere. Like that. This. No, I'm sorry.
The movie's already not going.
All right. So then they're going to Akator. Indy escapes. He gets the skull from the Soviets. There's the whole, like, they're in the, I don't know. They're just, it's the big CGI chase scene.
Like, go ahead.
This is, up to this point, I can accept this movie for all of its flaws. I can accept that there are many things that are bad with this movie, and I can continue to move forward up to this point. It's like, we watch Temple of Doom, like, it's one of those things that Temple of Doom's not the best Indiana Jones movie. It has its weird moments. This movie, had it gone better after this point, would have been a perfectly fine Indiana Jones.
Because Indiana Jones, that's what, Temple of Doom is a good example, because the big, like, everything with all of the stones and going down and calling all of that, I love because I was a kid, but I can see how it's like not intrinsically good, right?
It's not good film,
but
story writing, whatever.
The minute they get on that fucking mine cart, from that moment on, it's like it is like
it's a ride,
yeah, it's a ride, and it is fun.
In a good way. It feels like you are writing the movie on the cart with them.
Yeah.
Whereas this feels like you are standing in line for the ride.
Yes. And so many video game
ride.
Yeah, the video of the people in line. Totally. Yeah.
So this is the point where Indy, I don't know why I love the line so much, but they commandeer the truck, but then he says, pull up next to that duck. Out of context is hilarious in and of itself, but they're referring to the ducks, the amphibious transports. Which that kind of look like a boat with wheels.
Yeah,
which were actually in production from 1942 to 1945. The DUKW, also known as the Duck, made by General Motors Corporation, and that's a duck fact.
LBJ had one of the first for the general public.
That's my favorite LBJ story too.
There's a. But I think you mentioned this earlier, actually, Brian. But like, you have this chase scene, and you have the duck, the amphibious vehicle. You have several military jeeps of different size. You have a full-on tank, and they're all keeping the same speed with each other.
And the forest clear.
And the forest clear. Yeah,
going like 30 miles an hour through the jungle.
Exactly.
I think it needs to go a little slower than that.
And then when Mutt, after he does his sword fighting splits thing and gets separated from them and has to Tarzan swing in with a bunch of CGI monkeys, somehow catches up to these vehicles that have been going like 40 miles an hour through the jungle.
I mean, if Spider-Man could do it, can a man in a jungle,
dressed like Marlon Brando?
That road doubles back.
Exactly like Marlon Brando.
What'd you say, Al?
I said that road doubles back.
There is no road. They're clearing the jungle.
So they're clearing the road before.
Once they get to the cliff. So
They're just been driving in larger and larger circles, and we just haven't noticed.
Can you turn a thresher around?
Why did the monkeys start attacking the Soviets when they got there?
I don't know.
Did Mutt explain the situation on the way while they were swinging?
Because those are capitalist monkeys.
Yeah, he was explaining the tenets of capitalism. Yeah. They're like, wait, I can buy cigarettes?
Yeah, but it was funny. They were immediately on his team. Like he could talk to Capuchin monkeys.
He taught them to gamble, drink
cigarettes,
smoke cigarettes.
Yeah,
wear a fez, right on a unicycle.
Maybe they just wanted to make sure they were on the right team this side. Since in Raiders they were on the Nazi side.
They were. That monkey was. He had a lot to do with it.
He was a Nazi collaborator. So they go down. They go down off the cliff, down several waterfalls. That's fine. 3 waterfalls.
Because that was what the map said. You got to go down 3 massive waterfalls to your death.
3 times it drops.
3 times.
Right, and that had to be figured. That had to be figured out by some fairly intelligent folks. What does he mean? And then Indy's like, 1, starts counting the waterfalls. It's like, we all knew what that meant. You're on the Amazon.
And it was such like a opportunity for him to be freaking out because there's 2 more, oh no, we get to watch him for both as he freaks out each time.
And again, just as ridiculous, them jumping out of the plane in Temple of Doom in the raft.
Allow it.
Just as ridiculous, but somehow so much more fun. So
well, and I'll buy the nuclear explosion and the fridge. I'll buy it because that's fun and it's dumb and it's Indiana Jones. But to do that and this,
and the driving off the cliff into the tree and then into the river.
That was also
tree springing back.
I thought that was very funny. And again, if that had been the only one of these bits, I would have thought it was great. I would have been like, wow, they really gave her a moment. But no, it's just a series of slapstick CGI.
But it could have made it even funnier if that branch launched them. Instead of hitting the Russians who were rappelling down, which is funny. But if it just launched that little amphibious thing, it could even land in water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wile E. Coyote style.
Yes, if we've already decided to go there. It's like they stop right before they can even make their own bit.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So They find the rock formation that leads them to Akator. They go inside. We didn't even talk about all the CGI ants. So many CGI ants.
I don't mind the ants, honestly. If that had been the thing, that had been the only thing.
It's like
it's funny because the very first movie called The Thing was about a giant radioactive ant.
Really?
Yeah.
And, obviously, once again, like the Tarzan serials and stuff, like maybe that's what they were going for, the invasion of the giant insect. But I don't know. Everything just leaves me cold. Everything they're trying to do.
Absolutely. So they get into we see a very sensitive portrayal of native peoples of Peru inside this place.
Before that, when they showed the painting of the god or the gods when he holds up the skull to show that it's the same, and something about how they taught the Uga irrigation and farming, and then I saw the image and the first thing that popped into my head, cone heads.
Yep. Yeah. I was wrong. That movie's called Them, but yeah. Eldar, pre-met Conehead.
So the Coneheads were actually interdimensional beings.
Yep.
Oh, and
interdimensional.
We forgot Mac now is on their side because he lied to Indiana Jones about being a CIA agent.
I'm referring to the Dan Aykroyd Coneheads.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
At this point.
Yeah. Not the anthropological accurate Coneheads.
Yeah. So, but Mac has been leaving.
Sorry, I
transponders for the Soviets to follow. So they I don't know, they get to the temple, they figure out how to open up the thing, and there's the sand. And then they go down into the temple, and then the Soviets come there. We find out Mac is actually still on the Soviet side. Then Kate Blanchett takes the skull and puts it on the headless skeleton. This was some real, the CGI'd crystal skulls moving around.
Well, one last note on Mac. He keeps making it clear that he's not really on any side. He's for himself, which is for the money, and capitalism and such. But the reason Indy's suspected of being a communist is because of his association with this dude, which I know he worked with the Russians, but he is a very self-serving capitalist.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that. Like Red Scare paranoia. Like,
it's a moot point for sure.
Yeah.
So anyways, for some reason, now that they all have their own heads, the skeletons combine into one alien like Voltron.
That's living.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
she had said something about a hive mind.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. Again, the word hive mind in 1950s.
Yeah.
Well, from this point on, it gets fucking bonkers with the terms they use and people's blasé reaction to these terms and shit.
Interdimensional beings.
Yeah, I want to get to interdimensional, but even real quick, if I may, this is what apparently for centuries this being was waiting, or these beings were waiting to have happen, and all the while it was on the same continent, just in a sack under a dead guy. But then as soon as they reach, you know what I'm trying to say? They're so advanced, they help these civilizations thrive, and then they have a plan to return to their dimension, and the plan has been foiled all these years because somebody hid the skull.
So did this living alien lose its like 1/5 of its skull while it was out on a bender in Central America?
How did this living alien become 13 skeletons?
And why couldn't it be recovered by at the least the people who guard the temple?
And like, what is that going to give you? Knowledge, I guess. Is that what happened? Like there was so much friction from her learning so much knowledge, her head turned into fire.
She disintegrated into and then went to another dimension. The
knowledge was so fast it made her head explode.
Yeah, basically.
It was too fast, too furious.
They sort of made it clear that Oriana and his 6 guys actually found this place and took the skull away, and that's why it ended up in Peru. Sure. But what were these creatures doing when Oriana showed up and took the skull?
Right. Why were they
were they just sitting there as skeletons?
And why?
And why were they? Because if all the skulls are there, it's this one being that is seemingly organically alive. So yeah, it's a great point. Would they be skeletons when you walk in the room? If they're all together, they combine.
But they were just at that time, I guess they were just sitting around like, this is fine.
I see. Then, it was like an unspoken prophetic thing.
They're just chilling.
Right.
And then this conquistador shows up, takes the skull, and then once it gets back, they're like, nah, we ain't letting this happen again. Peace out.
Skull me once.
So yeah, then a portal opens up, an interdimensional portal opens up above the chamber.
Yes, and they say that word. They say portal. They say interdimensional, and no one is phased. I know they're watching this incredible thing happen, but is it going to space? No. Another dimension. Why? Why couldn't the answer have been yes? They're going home. Yeah, they're finally going home. Another dimension. Nobody's phased. The movie then goes to a wedding.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Nobody fucking. Oh, there are multiple dimensions.
Like, I feel like they should have had a conversation as they're walking down the mountain or whatever remains of it. Hey, we should probably not tell anybody because this is going to freak people out. Mutt, what do you think? I don't know, man. I think people should know. Like, at least that. And then a wedding, you know, and Indy being like, come on, kid, for the good of the country. Or something.
But that exact thing you described could have been done better just by them going to space. Like, we can't. You could have the same conversation. The world can't know about this right now. Yada da. But just to write aliens out completely, they decided to make it another dimension in 1957.
That's so weird.
So weird.
And what was the thing with the Roswell?
Right.
What was the Roswell thing? What was the alien that they had in the bag? What was that? That wasn't the skull.
It didn't have a crystal skull.
It actually did have a crystal skeleton. She said so. And she slid open the back of its head and revealed that its skull was made of crystal.
So what's up with that one?
She said they had found a couple of aliens in the Soviet Union that didn't have the crystal skeleton. This one was different. And she says something about maybe they were all looking for the same thing.
Oh, they were looking for
these aliens showed up. The Roswell aliens showed up trying to find the crystal skull to help out their dudes in South America.
Okay, but was this one part of 13 other dudes?
No, maybe this is
like a band.
Maybe it's like a caste system, you know? Like they're like, no, you only get 2 dudes.
Well,
maybe he gets 5 guys.
If you're a person that likes to read up on extraterrestrial theories and stories like I do, there is a hierarchy supposedly, at least as far as the aliens that we believe have visited us. Now, as far as the ancient aliens bullshit, that stuff just
that's different.
It's like the review that Thoreau, anything to not give credit to the people who actually made the shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's no way non-white people could make those pyramids.
Yeah, well, and all that stuff, all that ancient alien stuff is not UFO canon, I think.
I think too. Yeah. I absolutely believe in extraterrestrial life. The numbers, there's no way there can't be other living things. But coming here, drawing some lines in the dirt and then piecing out,
showing people how to make pyramids and
This is how you make a pyramid. What's it for? It's got a tiny room at the bottom you can bury a guy in.
What? No human could figure out to stack rocks more on the bottom and less on top.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, ultimately, that's just what happens when you get somebody who's so focused on themselves. I want a taller thing. No, it needs to be taller, or I'll kill you. That's why pyramids are as big as they are.
All right.
They were inventing They're inventing masonry. So yeah. They're let's keep going.
You're a terrible engineer. Kill him. Give me another engineer. Let's build it taller. We can do this.
Nope, aliens.
Fucking aliens, man.
So, anyways, they go back to the United States. Indy now gets promoted to Associate Dean of Marshall College. And Indiana.
Is this like a good thing for him?
He's going to be gone most of the time. Anyways, I can't imagine he's doing a lot of work as dean.
Yeah. Is this a
but I felt like they were trying to set that up, that he's going to go on less adventures, that he's going to be a settled down.
Right. He's going to be settled down and married. And old Mutt Williams is going to pick up that fedora.
Are he and Karen Allen going to have children again? Is that the plan? Settle down and raise a family?
I don't know.
Yeah. So
Mutt Williams.
Yeah.
They might be past that age, but
I mean, they're in their
just to live in wedded bliss. Presumably, Dean Charlie got his job back, so he's like head dean.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
who knows what Indy's really gonna do?
Well, we'll find out next week.
But I think he had some of those I'm getting too old for this shit vibe.
Yeah.
I almost die too often for a guy my age. I should be natural causes.
I'm glad that he didn't let Mutt put his hat on.
Mm-hmm.
I wish you'd
I'm glad we didn't get that moment where
But that was the tease.
that was the tease.
They were expecting it. They were and that's why Mutt got like the heroic moment where he's sword fighting and swinging. Like they were backdoor piloting Mutt Williams.
Right, and he started to have the attitude of like, let's go, like we go this way, right?
Yeah,
come on, we gotta. He's getting very indie, and like just thinking in the moment, no real plans, kind of thing. Yeah, you're right. That's the tease.
Yeah, but
I mean, am I the only one that felt that the name Indiana Jones had a lot to do with the excitement of these movies? Why would you pass the torch to a Mutt Williams?
Yeah.
Mutt Williams and the Adventures of the something.
Mutt Williams is a terrible name. It's a terrible name.
And Jones is one of the most common in the world. So he could have grown up with the last name Jones and not thought twice. You know what I mean? Like, I know she married a guy named William. There's no confusion. But like, as far as a franchise, well, like, I'm going to go see the new Mutt Williams movie. Whereas if, at least our age, if we hear the name Indiana Jones, that's exciting. It's an exciting name.
Well, and like
it comes with a little panache.
They put a lot of thought into the name Indiana Jones too. It wasn't just tossed off. Mutt Jones felt like they came up with it 2 days before they started shooting, or Mutt Williams.
Yeah. I think I was right. Somebody thought they were being clever with the like, we named the dog Mutt, but they don't even tell that joke.
Lucas thought he was being clever.
Right. They don't even make it a joke.
If he had been named himself Barkley or something, like some other generic dog name.
Clifford, the big red dog. The whole thing, though, like a Notorious B.I.G. Like he's got Clifford, the big red dog, B.R.
What if he was Dog Williams? He's
Dog Williams.
Dog. He's like, I'm Dog Williams.
Dog Williams.
He just bypasses the joke.
I'm going to be a bounty hunter. Dog the bounty hunter.
Outlaw country.
Marmaduke Williams.
Marmaduke Williams.
What if we went the opposite direction? He was Garfield Williams.
Yeah, we had a cat, not a dog.
Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Heathcliff Williams.
Whiskers Williams.
Yeah. Mittens.
Fluffy Nose and Toes Williams.
Oh, Fluffy Nose and Toes. Call me by my given name. What's that from?
That was from the Ben Stiller show.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was anti-Dick, actually.
That's right. That's right.
So unanswered questions. I only have one. Why did they do this to me?
Yeah.
How dare you, first of all?
I don't know. There's so many bad choices. Forget about the story and the script. All that computer animation.
The scope is too big.
So many bad choices.
Yeah, so many.
Like, you can do a jungle chase in a car, just like you have to be 3 feet away from the car. You know? We don't need you to be 25 feet away in the sky, flying above them, showing them sword fight. You could do a jungle chase just real close.
Like maybe just drive a car in the jungle.
I just want I feel like you have to talk to George Lucas like he's a little baby. Like, hey, George, maybe.
Or he talks to us like,
yeah. I think it's just how he wants to be communicated with. Instead of angry fans, just treat him like a little baby.
Really, it's okay, Georgie guy.
You know you want to come back and make another Star Wars movie. You know you do.
The forest clear, driving at the speed that it did, it felt very Star Wars universe. It felt like a Star Wars machine.
That all felt very Star Warsy when they were in the jungle to me.
Okay, so
prequel Star Warsy, to be clear.
You're good at math. How fast do you think they were going in the jungle chase scene? Speed, miles per hour.
I love that we ask
at least 50
questions that have nothing to do.
Yeah, this is hypothetical.
Like fast enough where you would die if you fell off. So
were they going fast enough that they could be described as furious?
I mean, Indy's definitely angry. He's got problems.
Yes, he is.
Greatest generation.
I threw out 30 before. I want to say 20 to 30 because I'm basing it on the speed at which Mutt was getting hit in the crotch with the shrubbery while he's doing he spread between the two
So you
cars.
did have a formula.
I'm picturing those branches going by. So
To scale.
15, 20.
Yeah.
It looks faster than it. I don't know. It felt faster than it looked.
Yeah. Well, like you
So-
said, the road
I
was
don't
being
know. It was
created.
all over the place.
How
The
long?
road's
did this
being
chase-
made ahead of them.
How long did this chase happen? This was like at least 3 or 4 minutes, at least, going 25 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was a long scene.
This chase was like 15 minutes long.
This is an enormous stretch of jungle that they are driving through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where you would drive through this stretch of jungle and be able to actually, like, even if you're clearing the road, you would have to stop. Like,
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
gonna be rocks, rivers, things.
this is just the longest straight piece of jungle that is just flat.
Especially in 1957. You know,
Yeah.
maybe now you could get your hands on a vehicle that could traverse, but again, trees and all that shit. But 1957, that's why they had to make up that threshing machine. And like I was very Star Warsy made up because, yeah, in 1957, how are you making roads that fast?
Mhm.
Yeah. Like, well, and just this place, this is a massive piece of jungle that just is unchanging. It doesn't feel like a place. It feels like fucking Tatooine.
Yeah.
Once
Or
you get, you know,
The background
right.
of a video game
Yeah.
feels like Tatooine. Yeah,
Motion blur, you
Mhm.
know?
It's
right.
yeah. It's like Endor. Like the Force just goes on forever.
Yeah.
Or like the speeders on Tatooine. Like you're not seeing anything.
The flatness of the terrain was unrealistic.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like running on a treadmill, you know? Like, that's cool.
It's
Do that
too-
for a shot.
It's too
Like,
even. Yeah. Like
Yeah, but
one
don't
of
do it for
one of them
15
fucking
minutes.
had like tank. I can't. Whatever those are
Yeah.
called.
No, it was all ridiculous. The reason the chases worked
Buzz
like
off.
in the first and third was because they were on flat desert. Like it's flat desert. You can just
Right.
all drive. You can just drive.
Yeah.
Or in the first one, an already established mountain road.
Yes. It was an actual road.
Well, and again, at the very end of this
And
jungle,
they're not
I'm
going.
back-
They're not going straight in Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are curves
Yeah.
in that road. It's very realistic because it was a real place.
Yeah.
This jungle scene, which just
Yeah.
still is just like lives in my brain rent free. This place, because geographically, this place is fucking huge, and they're driving fast in a straight line, so it's getting even bigger the further they go, right? Because it's an imaginary place; it doesn't exist.
But they're also like
But
on
at
the
the-
edge of a cliff the whole time,
but at
going
the
in a
end-
circle.
They're on the edge of a cliff, and is this a plateau? Then where on earth is this gigantic, massive, miles and miles and miles of plateau that is hundreds of feet of cliff face?
It's somewhere near the Brazilian town of Sono.
Yeah, it
I
is.
feel like this is such a George thing. I'm so mad about this. This isn't even an answer question. This is just me continuing to be mad about this movie. Places aren't real. Places don't matter. Places don't exist. Like other directors, you get like places are a character in a movie. Spielberg, every one of those places felt like I remember what the little like lobby to the underground mine in Temple of Doom looks like. still.
Yes.
You know,
Right.
like I don't remember any of
Oh.
these locations besides the warehouse, I guess, and maybe Indy's like school classroom.
Well, yeah. I mean, everywhere was just a set or CGI, and it was an endless, like Josh is saying, it's an endless video game.
So much CGI that didn't need to fucking be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So much.
All right. Any final thoughts, guys?
Well,
glad there
we'll
aren't
see
any more
next
of
week.
these.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, next week will be
Yeah.
fun. We'll be shooting from the hip a little bit, seeing as it will be very fresh. Only watching it once. Next week, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
It can
Yeah.
only go up from here.
More magic, it sounds like.
Yeah. I mean, okay, we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. Yeah, open mind. It's
Yeah.
indie.
I like Phoebe Waller-Bridges. We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes. So,
My money's on time travel.
ooh.
Harrison
Oh.
Ford has seemed to lighten up. It took him 80 years, but he seems to have lightened up.
He's finally grown into that earring.
Yeah.
He can't fly anymore because he keeps crashing, so he has to hang out with people.
So, all right, that's next week. Till then, thanks for hanging out with everybody, hanging out with us, everybody. This has been your host, Throw Smiley. I'm off to the space between spaces, Walmart.
I'm Josh Cece, and my stripper name is Crystal Skull.
I'm Brian Lesh, and if Mutt Williams isn't going to be Indiana Jones, I am.
I'm Alaric Weber. Unshackle me, and I'll break your nose.
Thanks.
Sounds
so
like a
happy.
good time.
We'll see you next time, guys. Bye.
Bye.